So we are live. And today I'm being joined by three of my colleagues. We're doing a slightly different format. Oftentimes we do more technical meetups. Today we're going more on the engineering level, hiring, joining Elastic. And without further ado, let's jump in. I think, Liselot, I'll let you start to give a quick introduction, and then Rory and Jordi, and then we'll start with a quick panel of other topics to discuss.
Hi everybody, Liselot Poppink. I'm based in the Netherlands and I'm now working 3.5 years at Elastic. And my role is I'm Senior Director for Services, so not engineering. All the consultants and trainers work for me. And my background is computer science. Up to you, Rory.
Hi everyone, I'm Rory MacKenzie. I'm a Director of Engineering within the Elasticsearch team. I lead up the Elasticsearch Data Store group. I'm based out of Scotland and I've been at Elastic for just about 18 months now. Jordi?
Hello everybody. I'm Jordi Planadecursach, and if you wonder where I'm from, I'm located in Spanish. I'm located in the Barcelona area. And I'm the team lead of the Kibana core team. I've been at Elastic for a bit less than 1 year. In June, it's gonna make 1 year. And yeah, so for the ones wondering, the Kibana core team, Kibana it's the window to Elasticsearch, but not only. No, Kibana is as well a platform for other engineers to build on top. So some of the Elastic solutions are built on top of Elastic. So within the Kibana core team, we take care that the foundations are there for all these teams to build upon.
Cool. So since we wanted to make this about more the company culture and everything, I always jokingly say that Elastic the company is built like the products. We are fully distributed. So we are all over the world, in our case, all over Europe. And I think that distributed culture for the past couple of years has helped us through COVID, and maybe other companies are also more into that model by now. But I don't think that's the only appeal that Elastic has. And maybe we go the other way around this time, to from Jordi, Rory, to Liselot. What is for you the appeal that Elastic had, or why did you join Elastic in the first place?
Well, personally, there are several reasons in why I've joined Elastic. Lots of reasons. Maybe one of them it's a product that is widely known in the software industry. So I think most of software engineers around have been exposed to one of the Elasticsearch products. This was the case for me. I've always been exposed to some sort of like search engines, being like Elastic, the solution that we picked in the previous companies that I joined. So being able to join Elastic and help solving these problems is something that motivated me.
Yeah, for me, I guess I was also an Elastic user before I joined Elastic. But for me, there's two real reasons for joining Elastic. First, I just thought I could make a big impact here. Like, I think most people, when they join a company, they're looking at what impact they can have and how they can maximize their impact. And I thought I could do that here. Then the second reason was because the company is distributed. And by that, I'm really meaning that there's no central location that's like the headquarters. In previous jobs that I've worked, there might be the headquarters in America, for example, and that sways your day, right? You end up working later in the evening so you can maximize your impact. And at a certain point, you feel like you have to almost like move to that headquarters in order to progress your career. Whereas Elastic is distributed. There is no central time zone that we're all working from. And I think that gives everybody equal opportunities across the organization. So that was a big thing for me.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I didn't know Elastic, before I joined. During my application, I was really interested in Elastic because of the product and the possibilities I saw. Also talking with friends that were using it. But also the state Elastic was in, being part of that growth, that was really, I also thought that I could make and I can make an impact. but most of all the source code. I have a long experience, and for me, the source code was really, really important, and the people. So what I liked a lot in the job description at that time was, age is only a number. It is about what you can bring. And I'm like, oh my God, age is not important, because often that is important. It is indeed. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. It is how motivated, committed, and what you can bring. So that was for me really an eye-opener. Yes. And I must say, after 3.5 years, it's still true. So I'm still very happy.
Cool. And I think just one point for the source code, because I've seen some confusion from people about source code, because they were like, where is this on GitHub? Like when we say source code in this context, is on the elastic.co website.
Yeah.
And it has things like age is only a number and home dinner that many of us, but Liselot, maybe your team is an exception, that home dinner might not always work out for consulting, but for many others it does. That we are humble and ambitious. So these are kind of like the source code of the company, so that the principles on which the company is founded. And by the way, because I said engineering initially, I always have the feeling that consulting is kind of close to engineering, and kind of like, even though community is in marketing nowadays, my heart is always still very close to engineering. So I'm not willing to give up that being like, oh, we're all kind of part of engineering to some degree, I think. Also in terms of the roles and everything. Cool. So let's dive into the next question, which was, what does distributed mean for your specific team? Because I think also, and how do you work together with others? Because I think that's a bit team dependent, and especially Liselot consulting is probably a bit different again than core engineering or whatever we want to call it. Liselot, you want to start?
Yeah, so distributed, of course, now is very different in the current COVID time. But distributed for my team means, and also for me, it is freedom, flexibility. And with freedom also comes responsibility. People sometimes forget that. And for me, as a leader, it is all about trust. I must trust the people, what they do behind, well, at home or behind their screens. Yeah, it's all based upon trust. And so distributed also means that people can work from anywhere. Yeah. So my team is, of course, before COVID at customer site. Yeah. But it doesn't matter where they live. Yeah, so they're spread out over EMEA, as long as they're close to an airport. It's very important. But for myself, I also have this freedom. So I also combine it with travel. Sometimes I travel to Italy and I work out of a hotel the whole week. And in the evening, I enjoy the food and friends and family. So that's what distributed is for me. And of course, now in this COVID time, it's a little bit different. So my team had to get used to be home for dinner. They were always home. So yeah, but it's. My first thing I would say is really the freedom you have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jordi, I think you wanted to add something from work from anywhere or everywhere. How is that working for Kibana?
Same as the rest. But something it's good now that Philipp and Liselot, you mentioned that source code, because something that is there is be as you are, right? So you don't need to invest a lot of time trying to fit an arbitrary mold. And I think it has to see with work from everywhere, no? Because every person has a different way of doing, has some different preferences in where to live. Some people prefer to live in the city. Some people prefer to live like in a rural area, outside from the city, in the seaside. There are some other people that like to travel. Other people don't travel that much. There are digital nomads. So be as you are. So I feel like at Elastic, we can find a place for all these different ways to be. So this is something that I really like, and I'm seeing that in my team. In the Kibana core team, we're currently 8 people, and we have people from starting from left to right, from west to east, from Arizona, Colorado. No, then in EMEA we have like Spain, we have UK, Norway, Switzerland, and we end up in Israel. So we cover I think most of the time zones, and this is an example that we are able to collaborate together. So we have so Elastic is not only a remote company, but some teams are remotely distributed as well among regions, and we managed to collaborate together. We managed to have like an amazing way to work, and we gather together in some synchronous meetings as well. So this is how we approach the remote working and work from everywhere in Kibana.
For you personally, where do you work most of the time?
I switched. I started working from my place. I live 1 hour away from Barcelona, next to the seaside. For the one that you know, like Costa Brava. I personally like to do a lot of sport activities, like mountain bike, and during summer I like to do spearfishing and like sea activities. So this is my lifestyle, no? So like to me it matters being able to live close to a place that I am able to do such things, and Elastic gave me the possibility to do so. And and recently I've joined a co-working space. So here at when you join Kibana, you can choose, right? You can choose like the company pays for your equipment to furnish your home office, or you can choose to be in a co-working space. So I've chosen the second, and because there I socialize with other people from other companies, other sectors, and as well as software engineers.
It's kind of so funny because I initially always thought I would get bored at home and I would go working from a co-working space. But in 6 years being at Elastic, I've never managed to do that. Basically, I kind of got stuck at home, or I don't know what to call it. Though I mean I travel a lot for work, so it's maybe a bit more of a mix. But I still haven't gotten to the co-working space level yet. One thing we've been referring to multiple times is the source code. Rory, did you have any part in the source code that you were particularly keen on or that spoke most to you?
Yeah, I have to say, like Liselot said, the source code, before joining Elastic, I'd read it and I thought, oh, the culture sounds like something that I'd like to work within. And it was quite appealing. But at the same time, I don't know, I guess I'm always cynical. I thought it was more like a marketing ploy. And it really actually surprised me when I joined Elastic how much people actually refer back to it when we're actually making decisions. So it's very common for people to talk about it depends, or let's make progress in simple perfection, right? Like those things are discussed quite often in meetings. But the one that I like the most is humble ambitious. Like I think it kind of sets a tone for the teams, right? We need to be ambitious and we need to be humble about it. But I like the ambitious part, especially. And I think, like, again, one of the things that attracted me to Elastic is how ambitious the projects are. And I think that for engineering, right, it's just exciting. You want to do something that, wow, that seems like so ambitious that we might not be able to pull it off. And that, as an engineer, that's what you love to do, right? That means you're on the cutting edge. You can make a big impact. So yeah, humble ambitious is probably the one that I resonate most with.
Sounds good. Since we got a question from Michelle, let's pull that one in. I think time zones are a hot topic for many of us. And then the stand-ups, yes or no, is also a bit team dependent. But any of you keen on picking that one?
Yeah, I could probably pick this one up. In one of my teams, we're spread across Australia, Europe, and North America. So we're basically worldwide, and that's an advantage and a disadvantage in a lot of ways. What what that means in practical terms is that we need to collaborate mostly asynchronously. So that means email, Slack. We collaborate mostly actually on GitHub issues, or pull requests are obviously in there, but commenting on issues or Google Docs. That's a way for us to collaborate. We do have a weekly sort of stand-up meeting, a team meeting. We tried for a while to actually have it in one specific time where everybody could make it. And what we found is that means somebody in the team is having to get up at a terrible time for them. So we actually have it on a rotational basis now. So over 3 weeks, everybody in the team will be able to make 2 of the 3 team meetings, and one's split for EMEA and Asia Pacific, one split for NASA and EMEA, another one's for NASA and Asia Pacific. And that seems to work out well. And what it means is that nobody's deferring important decisions to that weekly meeting anymore, right? Like people are using other means to make those decisions. And I think it empowers the team to make decisions and move forward as well. I think that's good, right? I think one of the things you need to do if you're going to thrive at Elastic is you need to be quite independent and driven. And I think the asynchronous nature of how we have to collaborate at times really enables people to do that as well. So I think, it's mostly synchronous communication, or just getting the right people together, right? Like it's easy to get a small group of people who are really the people that are going to make a decision or contribute to the discussion. You get those people in a meeting rather than trying to get everybody at the same time. And then when you do get everybody together, it's more around sort of social or sort of broadcasty type discussions.
And I assume your team is not doing stand-ups.
No.
There's no chance there since there's no morning, I guess. Yeah. Jordi and Liselot, for you, it's the same or it's different?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Okay. So for my team, they're mainly working in EMEA, but of course we have connection with our colleagues in EMEA and APJ. So we often have meetings with EMEA, with EMEA in the evening or at the end of the day, and then with APJ in the morning. But of course, the consultants, they are really the experts. So they need to keep up to speed with everything that you guys are doing. So they can't just be there all the time because, or it's in the evening or they're at a customer. But at Elastic, we record everything. And that is really very helpful. So people always have the time, but they can make time to really listen to the recordings, what happened during night while they were sleeping. So I think that's really good. Yeah, but not so much impact for my team. For me, it's different because in the leadership, I work with EMEA and APJ. So I have a lot of meetings in the evenings. Yeah, but we try to accommodate that the best we can.
Within Kibana, every team is different. So this is something, a part of the source code as well, which is it depends, as most of the things in engineering. And my take in it depends is it's like there is no like a guideline in how teams should work from the company standpoint. I've been in some other companies that like the processes are quite strict, and the teams cannot have don't have a lot of autonomy on that. So here at Elastic, teams have pretty much autonomy to define its own processes. So for a team which is co-located in the same region, there might be something that works well, but in another team that have like people in different regions, then all the things might work. In my case, for example, this is the case as I've explained earlier. So what we do is we do like we have like a couple or 3 hours that we overlap. So we try to make the most use of these hours to have like synchronous communication. But what I really like, at least, is to have like a retrospective every few weeks. And in this retrospective, it's like the meeting in which you can talk about what has gone well to keep doing and what there is to improve. And if there is something to improve, it's when we take the opportunity to change the process, right? To create a new meeting or to delete one or to, adapt the process to the team needs.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like a good description. And what I think is very nice is that like each team can figure out what works for them. And it doesn't mean that everybody has to follow the same process, because it's just forcing people into habits that might just not translate that well. Yeah. Michelle, I hope we answered your question. If you have more, just add them to chat and we'll pick them up. But the next thing I think we wanted to discuss is like what to expect when you work at Elastic. Let's start with consulting. If you work in consulting, what to expect when you work for Elastic or at Elastic?
Yeah, it's really very different pre-COVID and now. We're still in COVID, almost finished, hopefully. But before COVID, a consultant is traveling 2 to 3 weeks in the month, every week to a customer, delivering, and then 1 week working from home. And then every fifth week, they have a whole week of enablement. As I said before, they're the experts. So they need to be trained in all the different releases and what's new. They have to prepare. So they always need to be ahead of the customer. And that, of course, you need to get time for enablement. Now, of course, in the COVID time, before they complained a lot about work-life balance, but now it's the other way around. They're always at home. It's very different. So they're all looking forward to traveling again. But yeah, it's I think it's a very diverse role in consulting. You are working with the best people at the customer. You're always helping them with where they are stuck in a project or where they want to grow and work with the new product. So it's a really amazing and satisfaction job. Yeah. So yeah, it's really I think it's a very nice role. Yeah.
But it's funny when you say like, oh, previously they were kind of like over traveling and now they're kind of under traveling, and it's like you always want the opposite of what you have.
It's always, yeah. It's yeah, that's true.
Or maybe it's just like the right balance is very hard to achieve.
Yeah, exactly. So what we want to try, if we go back to travel, is 50-50. So we want 1 week travel, 1 week working from home or the office, and then 1 week travel. Yeah, and also have more face-to-face meetings, because some people I didn't see for 2 years. I got a lot of new team members, new managers, and I only saw them through Zoom. It's very different when you see each other face to face. Yeah, and have the social chit chat. We miss that all, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Bringing the same question to you, let's start, Rory, with you, but adding the one tweak over consulting is like, Elastic is very proud to be this engineering-driven company. How can you keep that up while being so distributed, and like, how can you kind of like ingrain that into the work environment at Elastic?
Yeah, good question. I think just in terms of what to expect if you're working at Elastic as an engineer, I think you need to expect that you'll be working on some really interesting and hard problems, which I think again is great. And I think you need to expect to do a bit of reading and like be a good self-starter. I think that's really important. But I think one of the huge benefits of Elastic is the engineering-driven culture. I guess historically it's always been engineering-driven. Everything that was built originally was engineering-driven, and even now, like I work in the Elasticsearch team, obviously, and that's like the core platform upon which everything else is built. So you'd expect that we're getting a lot of top-down requests from the different solutions or sort of internal cloud teams, but we're sort of empowered and we try and push for our engineers to come up with those great big impact ideas that they can suggest that will move everything forward. And we really take some big bets on big features that our customers don't even know they want, right? Like that to me is like that's engineering driven to me. Is like, we're going to build this thing because we think it's the right thing to build and it's going to impact all our customers, and they don't even maybe know about it right now, right? But in 1 or 2 years' time, that's going to be the thing. So yeah, I think that's what engineering-driven culture to me means, is sort of taking big bets and being ambitious again, right? Going back to ambition.
I think that's like a very nice comparison, like that people often don't know what they want. It's like, I think there's this famous quote, like if you ask people 100 years ago what they wanted, they would have said like, oh, we want a faster horse. And that was not quite the way forward. So you kind of like engineering maybe needs to figure out like maybe there's a better way than trying to build a faster horse. Jordi, anything you wanted to add to the topic?
Plus one to what Rory said. So developers are not just like people that code features, right? So features that someone else come up with. So actually, we expect those features to be, actually we expect like developers, engineers, not to only code, but to solve business problems, business challenges, right? And actually, it's the other way around. No? Expect like engineers to come up with the ideas of what to build in order to solve these business problems.
Makes sense, yeah. Since we have another question from David, let me add that one. Onboarding. I think we have improved a lot over time, and it's much more structured nowadays. Who wants to kind of like walk through the process of what to expect?
Yeah, I can at least talk about it from the Elasticsearch level, and I guess it will differ between teams. I think that's right. For somebody new starting, generally the first week they're getting their laptop set up, their development environment set up. It's all sort of written down in our internal wiki, and by the end of your first week, you should be able to spin up Elasticsearch and start debugging it. We pair everybody up with what we call a mentor or a buddy. That's somebody that they can work with and ask technical questions, or they can ask the silly questions that you just don't really know. Like I remember when I joined, I didn't know how the whole Google suite of tools worked, so I was just asking questions around that, right? So somebody that you can work with that will pair up with you in the first couple of months. So I guess that's the kind of key thing. You start in some small PRs, you just get used to our development process, and then you gradually build up. It's not very different to many other workplaces. Generally, the mentor or buddy that you're paired up with is somebody that's probably closer to you in terms of time zones, right? That definitely helps. So you have some more synchronous time when you start. We also have what we call our X school, which is our company onboarding. And that gives you a high-level overview of engineering, consulting, sales, marketing, like the whole company, the whole plan behind the company. And it really, again, drills down into the source code that you're talking about, right? Our cultural values. I think that was really important. It was also really good for me because we had lots of breakout sessions in that first sort of company onboarding, and it forced you to kind of introduce yourself to lots of people that you don't know, and that sets you up for the distributed working as well, right? You're going to have to reach out to people, introduce yourself, and start working with somebody, and it really helps you break down the barriers by doing that through the X school.
Anything to add, or we think we covered it? Because if we think we covered that question, then I think, Liselot, for you, I have like the follow-up almost is like, starting is fine, but like how does career growth and the future development look over time?
Okay, yeah, so to be honest, I mean, services is now like 5 years, 6 years old. So we are revisiting the career ladder, as we call it. But for us, it's important that whatever path you take or you choose, you can always switch path. And every path is valued, whether you choose the technical track, the advisory, or you choose the managerial. We value and respect people the same. Yeah. So we're in consulting, and I also understood from you, Philipp, that across the company. We're revisiting our career letters as we grew a lot the last couple of years. But what is also very important is that I had a lot of colleagues in my team that were really interested in other business units like support. Not engineering yet. Maybe they were not good enough. I don't know. But support and solution architecture and product marketing. So we in Elastic, we need to support that. And I think that's really good because these people, they're already within the company, and it's really important that you keep them. Yeah. And if it's possible that they can go to another or explore another role, which is really great. And as managers, we need to support all of that. Yeah. So for us, we have every year we have a promotion cycle. So it's really important that we know that we have a career letter, so that people know what to expect. What are my KPIs? What do I need to achieve? When do I do something well? Yeah, and about recognition. So this is all part of the career growth. But as I said, we're still a young company, and that also makes it exciting, at least for me. That is exciting. It's important that we all the time learn from, where are we? We need to grow into this. We need to improve our career letter. So that's what we're doing at the moment. Yeah, and I think that's the same for engineering, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Something that I like is that we are not pushing people to go into like management if they want to grow in their technical path. So we have like expert path in every of the team expert member, employees expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to force people basically to become managers, even if they don't want to, just because it's career progression. That does not benefit anybody.
No, and if you are a good technician, maybe you are not a good manager, and that's also the other way around. Yeah. No, I really believe in the different career paths. That is very important. Yeah.
Cool. So since I hope we have kind of like given everybody the motivation of why they might want to join Elastic, what would be your tips if you want to join Elastic? How will you be successful in the interview process? How will you get into Elastic? Jordi, I'll let you start this time because we've been passing over you, I feel.
Every group has slightly different like interview process. I would say more in the less technical part, be yourself. Don't pretend to be someone different, because we really value that you come as you are. And for the technical part, just like prepare, try to get as much information as what the team that you have applied for is doing, and try to to understand it. I mean, most of the source code, you have access to the repository, so you can see like with a small investigation what the team is doing. So yeah, you can get it from there.
Yeah, like Jordi said, I think come as you are is important. I think we want to see the real you. So yeah, come as you are. I think for me, I always think an interview is a two-way process, right? Like we're obviously asking questions, but it's your opportunity to ask questions, and it's your opportunity to work out if you want to work at Elastic. So read up as part of our sort of scheduling of interviews. We share the LinkedIn profiles or whatever of the people who you're going to be interviewing with. So like read up on them. Do they seem like the people you want to work with? I hope yes. But I think that's important for you to go and look through. And I think be prepared to ask questions. I think it's an important part of the interview for me is like that sort of communication towards the end. Like what do you want to know? What are your interests? So yeah, there are things that I would look for.
Yeah, that's the same for me. And I see there are some questions. Maybe Philipp would want to go through these. Yeah.
We'll pull those up. But did you want to add anything on the like what to bring, or you're kind of like following along with the previous two answers?
Yeah, it's the same for us. Come prepared, be as you are. And we spoke a lot about source code. For us, the challenge is that we love our source code and so our culture, and we want to hire people that fit the culture. Yeah. And that's why you need to come as you are. Yeah, be honest. If you don't know, you should say, I don't know, but yeah. So it's really come prepared, be yourself, and that's the most important. Same in engineering, I think. Yeah.
And since we got two more questions, for engineering, the positions are quite steep. I think that's true, but we also try to combat that. Who dares to take that one?
Not me.
What's the definition of regular programmer, right? Like normality and regularity, it's subjective. What my take here is like we have plenty of teams, and at every teams there are different like needs. So you might, maybe not fit for a very technical team, but maybe you fit better for like a more UI driven team.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing. Our technical recruitment team are great at looking at a CV or a resume and saying, well, maybe this isn't the right fit for this team, but they always look at the other teams and other positions that we have open. And I think that's important. The other thing I would call out is, I guess historically, we've tended to hire more senior engineers into the team, but that's changing, right? We're looking to hire at the graduate level as well now. So that is also changing. And I think that's great. It brings in more diversity into our teams. So yeah, I think that's probably been the case in the past. We have a tough code base, at least in the Elasticsearch team, right? We need top class engineers, to be honest. But I think there's definitely roots in.
Yeah, I also feel like this is potentially has changed a bit over time, maybe, because especially historically we went very much for the senior engineers, and right now if you look at the open positions, a lot of them are or senior principal level. But we also make a conscious effort now to add these graduates. Like we had 4 graduates join Elastic a while ago, and we'll add more. And I think at least one has recently switched team as well. So it's not just like a graduation program. We throw somebody in, we burn them out, and then we kick them out again. But it's really to onboard newer people, a fresh set of eyes, a different skill set, just to dive into that. But yeah, I still think it's kind of fair to say that we are generally rather on the more experienced side hiring. I think that's a fair assumption.
I think the distributed teams leads to that a little bit. I've said a few times you have to be a good self-starter, and I think that because you don't have as much synchronous overlap with other people, it's not like you can turn around and say, hey, do you want to just quickly pair in this? You could do that. You could do that over Zoom, right? Of course, people do that. But if somebody that you're working with is maybe 5 or 6 hours time difference, then you might not have that opportunity. So that at least historically has meant that we've looked for people who have the skills that we need out the bat, and then they can also be good self-starters to move forward themselves.
And I think that the thing that you definitely need to have is very good communication skills. What will not work is if you're sitting at home basically and you're lost, and then you're not telling anybody and nobody will see you basically, that's not going to work out. And I think historically we also added a couple of people who were more junior, but they were very good at communicating, and then they made that work. But I think it can be tougher just being distributed to some degree. Final question, I feel like this one is almost a trick question, about like getting into definitions of CICD and everything. Do we want to cover this?
I guess it depends as well on the teams. So pipelines, release pipelines depend on teams. Elastic release pipeline is different than the Kibana one, and is different than the cloud one. So so I would say that the more cloud products, which are more like SaaS-like, they have like more advanced CI. Well, they are more advanced in the CI/CD practices. So I'm not sure if they do continuous delivery, but I think code is merged into main, and potentially it's releasable, but I don't think it's released after every merge. For Kibana, it's slightly different. I think it's similar to Elastic, since like we still need to support customers that they install their packages in their own way. So we need to be very cautious whenever we ship code into those. So we release in a different cadence. So we release into major, minor cadence, and we package this software, and then we allow it to be installed in like the developer's machine. Maybe Rory can come up with some more details on the stack release cycle.
Thanks, Jordi. I guess there's two key things that you said there that are important. So firstly, we're pushing to main, the main branch regularly, and that means that as soon as it's pushed there, it's treated as ready to be released, and a release might be brought forward or pushed back. You don't really know. So from the engineering perspective, pushing to main means that it's done. That's important because from our sort of engineering culture perspective, right, you're going to have all the relevant automated tests set up before you push there. So I think from an engineering perspective, our sort of test-driven approach is superb. And the other thing is we're always releasing at least every couple of months. It's not a very specific schedule. It kind of changes, but that's important for the culture, because you know that if your feature's not quite ready, you can wait and it can go on the next release. And I think that's really important, because it means that we're not rushing. It never feels like we're rushing. We're not compromising on quality. It's not a big deal if something slips to that next release. We're going to wait till it's ready, and then we're going to push it. And I think that's like a really important mindset that everybody in engineering has.
I feel like we could do a full episode or meetup on release processes and like how we do branching and what gets backported and when and how that will go into a release or not a release. And like then we have the daily, nightly snapshots of the release and everything. I might come back to the two of you. We could do a full session on that topic, I think. The Kurt, I hope we have kind of answered that without derailing the topic too much. But it's a great topic. I think we might want to come back to that at some point. Any final words from you before we wrap up?
For the ones hesitating whether to apply for a position at Elastic or not, please just do it and have a chat with us. No compromise. And if it works, if we can make it work, cool. If it doesn't, it's no problem.
Yeah. And the same for, of course. It's an amazing company. So we're still growing, and it's we try really to hire the people that are that we really see fit in the company. Yeah. So also at consulting, it's not that we only hire seniors. We always look at the capabilities of people. Yeah, is somebody capable to grow? Yeah, that's really important. And thank you for everybody for joining.
Rory, your final chance?
I guess all I was going to say was, if you're unsure, like reach out to the hiring manager if you know who that is, or reach out to our recruitment team. I remember when I was joining, I spoke at length to the technical recruiter, and it was great, right? It gave me the opportunity to ask all the questions to make sure that this was the right place for me, and I felt so much better having done so. So if you're unsure, just reach out to somebody and speak to somebody, and I'm sure they'll be glad to talk to you.
Great. Liselot, Jordi, Rory, thanks a lot for joining. Thanks everybody for joining the stream. If you watch the recording, be sure to reach out to recruiting if you see any open positions that interest you. And see you at the next meetup. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.